Basketball is my life. I have nothing else.
This is incredible. This is the best grateful for I've ever heard.
Shooters. That's what we do.
Shooters, a basketball podcast. Let's go.
And we are back. It's great to see you. It was great to see your face in person on Saturday, maybe? Sunday. It was Sunday, but we're back. I'm seeing you virtually again, but it's just as glorious online as well. How are you doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
I mean, Tuesday, we flew back Sunday after the game. I got to hang out with my boy Darren for a split second, but it was in good moods after a great win. And then Monday off, Tuesday, we just recalibrated, got in a little lift, some little post moves and some shooting, while a couple of guys that played less minutes get some live action in. And then we just had one of our holiday clinics, which is always good fun, tiring though. But just got home and excited to hit the Shooters Pod with you. So I'm doing pretty good on this Tuesday. How about yourself?
This is your highlight of your Tuesday. Mine's been good. This is my work from home day. So a little lunch break here. But yeah, going well. Moving house on Thursday. 2 days. So that's exciting.
Wow, that is exciting. Have anything you're a little nervous for, or last haircut you got, you were looking sharp at the game. Anything you're not looking forward to really, or anything you're excited for?
That was tough saying goodbye to my hairdresser. I was like, she thanked me for always. I don't know what she's thanking me for. Like, I guess my service, a consistent service to her. But we've still got to pack a few things, but we've got like a bit of a buffer for the old place. Like, still got like a week after the moving date.
Nice.
So yeah, can just do it slowly. But basketball, let's get stuck into that because it was good to see you. It was good to see you in person, and I didn't realize you're back in Melbourne again this week. Didn't even realize that.
I know, we can't get enough of each other. We purposely planned it this way, but it is good fun. I tell you what, because obviously travelling is a tiring part of the sport, but getting the double Melbourne teams from a Hobart, it's only about a 45-minute flight. And before we get started, I definitely... You know what, I'm actually going to save it to my hype up, so we'll continue. You want to jump straight into the game recap with you starting us off, Brisbane versus New Zealand?
Let's do it. So Brisbane got the win, and I'll tell you, sometimes it's not about the basketball. I reckon Brisbane probably have the cleanest looking uniforms in the league. I'm sorry, Jack Jumpers, but I reckon there's something about it. I really like the blue. It's probably because they don't have a big logo sponsor on it yet. That probably helps, but even their white, which they were rocking in this game, that's my main takeaway from this game. So I don't know what you saw out there, but I saw some pretty nice uniforms.
I actually love that because it's very interesting because whenever uniforms come out, all the players gather around, we get chatting, we get up the pictures, which one do we like, who's the best, and you must have good taste because a lot of the players on our team agreed that Brisbane is our favourite, and then there was a good argument between Brisbane and Perth. The colours black always look good, and so I think Perth have some nice uniforms, but hey, Brisbane got the win, 89 to 84 against New Zealand with Will McDowell-White coming back having 19 points from that hands injury. But more importantly, they got the win in some nice uniforms, looking sharp. Cairns, Southeast Melbourne, Cairns got the dub 87 to 80. The young fella, the next star, was playing like a star. Bobby Clintman, he put on a weekend, didn't he?
He was great. I think this game happened, and I was just like, okay, this is going to be a game that we look back on and be like, let's go back and watch that tape once he's actually in the NBA, what's he's doing his next step, and then he pretty much did the same thing in his back, to back it up the next game. So we'll get into that later, but and I think the attention goes to Bobby Clintman, but Patrick Miller has been very solid for them. He just seems like every game so far he's put up like 26 times, something like that. So I think he deserves a lot of love as well.
100%. I mean, he's someone that I battled against in Germany, and the second that he signed in Cairns, it was really like, that's a good fit for their system, the way they play. A downhill guard. I mean, him and Taj are going to be menaces when they're getting into the paint, and they get the dub. And I tell you what, the sad part of that game, and it's one thing everyone has to talk about, but the worst part of sport is injuries. And Tyler Cook poked in the eye. I heard a rumor that he was going to miss 2 to 3 months.
Months? That was weird because I swear the commentators were saying like, oh, this is, I don't know, pretty serious or whatever. And then I swear the next game they were just like, here's a game time decision. So I don't know how it happens with eye injuries, but it looked very, very painful. And for those people at home, it gave me a flashback to Akil Mitchell. I don't know if you ever remember footage. Yeah, New Zealand breaker. It's actually like it's pretty gruesome to look up. So don't Google it. Even though as soon as I say that, you're gonna look it up. But I swear his eye was like properly out of the socket a fair few years ago in the NBL, and that was gruesome. But yeah, hopefully Tyler Cook's fine. I think Alan Williams is on his way back as well. So.
Well, that will bring us onto a little side story. What injury would you not want? And I tell you, there's some gross ones, like the eye, like getting a tooth knocked out would suck. Oh, yeah. But I tell you what, getting a scratch to the eye. I mean, Tom Abercrombie had one last season. That one you're talking about with the eye popped out of his head a little bit. It was nasty, but the eye would be up there for the grossest, nastiest injuries. I would definitely rather do an ankle than do an eye.
I think, 100%. I think not to cop out answer, but I think the eye would be my answer because like every time it happens, you kind of feel it yourself. And I don't know if you remember, but there was a few years back in the NBA, there was like horrible injuries with like Gordon Hayward and a few other guys that properly like snapped something in their leg. And I remember that night I was still playing social basketball at that point, and I was just like, I actually don't want to play. Like I just had that vision in my head after you see something like that, but. Man, I don't know. It's gruesome, but what's the worst injury you've ever had? Nothing too serious yet.
I've been pretty lucky, man. Mine's been my ankle. I battled with my lower back for a long time, but that wasn't due to like an injury. That was just kind of like constant pain. But I've rolled an ankle here or there, but nothing too bad. Touch wood. There is some benefits of being a prisoner of gravity. So when you're stuck to the ground and you're not moving too fast or producing too much force, there's some benefits. The longevity of the game, the lack of injuries. I mean, there's some positives that people don't really talk about.
Actually, I love that angle. You're like, there's actually not much for me to fall down from. So I jump and I'm basically on the floor.
Yep.
Your big toe last season gave you headaches though.
Oh, to be fair, to be honest, that's probably been the worst injury I've ever had in terms of affecting basketball, and I'm still dealing with it. So it's something that like my left hip's got a little bit of pain at the moment due to me, my body struggling to put pressure on that right big toe. So it's something I'm still dealing with, this stupid big toe.
Man, maybe I shouldn't joke about it, but speaking of your big toe, and sort of injuries, Farb shattered the backboard in Tas versus Sydney, but pre-game, and I was kind of laughing at that, and I honestly wondered if the game would go ahead, because I don't know if they have spare backboards just chilling at the back of the arena. I don't know, but were you out there when it happened?
So, listen. The way jack jumpers do our shooting is we have like set shooting times, and so we have 4 groups. First group, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. So Fab's in the third group, and he always does a dunk to end his like shoot around. So the fourth group is Jared Bairstow, Clint Steindl, me. So we're on the sideline doing some ball handling. Like, you know, we've been waiting. We're about to get our chance on the hoop, and we're just watching this dude. And he goes up for his dunk, and then boom, shattered. Like a little reverse. The way he flicked off the ring, I think, must have created something perfectly, because it wasn't a huge dunk, but it was a solid dunk. And then Fab got a little nervous. He was scared, like, oh, did I just ruin this? So he just disappeared. He just ran inside, didn't talk to anyone, didn't deal with anyone. But there was some confusion out there. We kind of didn't know what was going on. Is there another backboard? So everyone was running around for about 5, 6, 7 minutes. We had general managers in there walking around like, I'll sort this, I'll do this. It's all good laughs. We're like, oh crap, like, is there going to be a game? So we're joking with Sydney, me and Joy Hunter, having a laugh at halftime, at the halfway. And then we find out that pretty much it's going to take like 20 minutes to get this sorted. So we go inside. Group 4 doesn't get to shoot. So no warm-up for the boy heading into the Sydney game. That's why I blame my shooting. But then I shot poorly again on Sunday, so it didn't matter. But Fab officially broke a hoop. He ended up getting a photo with it like after the game, because there was the shattered backboard out the back, and we made him pose for a photo because it's pretty rare. And backboard breaking Fab.
That was funny, actually. That was good. That's a good call, making him do that. But I needed something to watch that night. I was hoping the game would still go ahead, because they showed us like the broadcast angle was basically the camera on the ring, so you probably got to see what happened. But you know, freak accident. But hey, as long as it could have been worse. I swear, a few seasons ago, like one of the whole rings basically collapsed. So it wasn't that. But you guys got the W anyway. How'd you feel out there, besides from the, not great shooting by yourself? You said this then.
Poor overall shooting by me all weekend, but That's basketball, man. Like, that's what makes the sport special. But the jack jumpers are playing jack jumper basketball, and that is the most important thing. And early in the season, all we focus on is building that defensive identity. That's what we spend 7/8 of our training doing. That's what we spend 7/8 of our film focusing on. That's the guys that we bring in, is the guys we think are going to be good defensively, that are going to buy into that system. And we weren't happy with how many points we gave up against Perth. I think we gave up 103 maybe, and we said, hey, that's the second most or third most we've ever given up in club history. And so the focus was, let's play defense, and kept Sydney to 72 points and grinded out a win in good old Jackie's fashion.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a grind out, but just to pay some love to Sydney, Alex Tui had like 14 quick points in the first half. I think that was cool to see. And also Jonah Bolden, just a sneaky line off the bench there, 10, 8 rebounds and 2 assists. Just cool to see him, get back to, I think it's going to take him some time to hopefully potentially get back to where he was before, but you got to make strides, like small strides, and yeah, he looked pretty good from that one.
I agree. It was fun talking to him pre-game, because him and I were good friends. We had some cool Oz tournaments together, traveled around America at Adidas Nations growing up, and just to see him back out there, he's always had a great attitude about it all, and it's going to be fun to see him develop again, because I have no doubt that he's going to be able to be a massive impact player in this league. It takes some time to get your feet back under you. This is what he and I were talking about, the quick decisions, the feel of the game. That takes time, and it's hard to replicate by working out. But he said he was always eating well, staying in shape, so all of that was easy. The conditioning and everything, he'd been doing that, keeping regular exercise, and so now we'll just be adjusting to that pace of the game again, and then he'll be good to go.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be good to. Do you know if he's on a multi-year deal?
I actually can't speak on that. I'm not sure.
I was just thinking. I feel like he might be. So that's just great for his own almost test the waters. This slowly make your way back, and then next year will be exciting. But hey, I don't know if he is contracted, but if he is, great. Perth Adelaide. Perth got the win, and our man, I'm just going to keep hyping him up because he keeps deserving some hype up. Isaac Humphrey, 7 of 7 shooting, 18 points. I feel like he's Adelaide are, bit of a slump right now. You don't have many positives to go from them, but I keep looking at his name and what he does. So it's cool to see. And
I'll give a shout out to Alex Sarr. Obviously most people have probably seen it over the socials, but 2 big threes to put the game away, and it's hard to understand how much attention that man Brass got and draws. His ability to put that ball in his right hand or left hand, get downhill and have 5 guys stare at him. The fear that he puts in defensive teams, systems, guys collapsing in is crazy to watch. And the last 3-4 minutes of the game, when people get tight and people really want to make plays, or people struggle to stay disciplined and lock in, you just see everyone biting in. That man's driving in, finding open shots for everyone, wide open catch and shoots, and he's not shooting the best right now from the 3. I think at 25%, there's a couple of us struggling, but it doesn't matter. The attention that he draws is helping the Perth win games.
Yeah, it's super cool. What was I going to say? Damn, I completely went blank then. But I was going to say, we recorded a great The Huddle podcast with Bryce as well. So after you finish listening to this one, go check out the NBL on Spotify and that, because he opened up a lot more than I kind of expected he would. And he said some cool things. And shout out Pete Hooley as well. It kind of made him comfortable from the get-go. So that's a great chat. Just wanted to throw that in there as well.
I like that. And then we got a high-scoring flying game. Illawarra, 113. 106 Southeast Melbourne. I didn't get to watch much of this. What are your thoughts on it? And how would you coach the Jack Jumpers heading into the game on Thursday? What would you recommend we do? And what would you recommend is the defensive scheme and offensive scheme against the Illawarra Hawks?
Damn, all right. Coaching tips from me. This is a new area for me, but I'm going to do my best to avoid that question, and I don't have an answer. But what I did see was, I just loved, stop their backcourt somehow. I don't know. They both, Justin Robinson, 26 points. I think Tyler Harvey had 20 as well on a good shooting clip. So, just tell Milton, tell a few of those other guys to somehow stop them. And, it's a team effort over there in Tassie. But that's all the advice I can get. Just slow them down, and maybe that will help your chance at a W.
Well, there you go. I think you did touch on the key deciding factor at the end, which is slow them down. I mean, they're playing pick-up basketball. watching moments of them versus Sydney was absolutely chaos with how quick they scored and how quick they pushed the ball. And I mean, Illawarra, we're going to have to play some defense, slow down their pace if we want to have any chance of winning that game. So you are on the money. You're on the money now. Next week when I ask you that questions, we're going to need some systems of how to do that when I catch you with a surprise question like that.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to dive in a bit more on the terminology and stuff rather than keeping it super basic. But another name, I'm all over Twitter, or X as they call it now. When are we going to start calling it X? Anyway, that's a new question. Who knows? But on NBA draft Twitter, I'm calling it, people like the Americans, they're talking up Lockie Aldridge. Like, people are actually watching and talking him up, which you love to see. And it's just, I always get sort of a bit of a kick when, some known people with a bit of a following that love the NBA, love NCAA. College, talk up our guys and talk up anyone in our league. So they're paying attention, and it's good to see him, putting up, basically continuing on what he was doing at the Blitz.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, at his size, his age, his touch, his handle, the ability to shoot the ball, he can move well. I mean, there's a chance, young fella, keep working, and that NBA could be right around the corner. Now, speaking of NBA, we had the Cairns beat Brisbane. And NBA Bainesy, we got to talk about it for a little bit. The double ejection, the Baines and Lat, I think, this is a sensitive topic because it's in review. We're not sure what's happening, a little post-game or mid-game, but the double eject is tough, and that's what people are talking about right now.
Yeah, they sure are. They sure are. And people, like, whether we want to admit it or not, that stuff gets people's eyeballs. Like, people like to see what's happened, and I couldn't watch the game live, but I was watching that thing back, and I was like, what happened here? It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out because, I don't know, some unhappy faces on that court. I don't even know what night that was, but, it'll be interesting.
Definitely. And I mean, it's always one of those things where the interest is increased when people don't know what's happened, when it's not happening on court. And that's going to be something we're all going to have to wait for. But a little side story that I think has been going underspoken right now is how well Sobes is playing to start this season. I mean, he looks like he's got that little first step back. And the last couple of years, he's been injured. He's been battling with that knee, and that can affect a player a lot more than people realize. And they lost, but he had the 31 points, and he's playing well right now. I mean, before that injury, he was a premier Australian player in this league, top 5. Yeah. And so to see him out there leading that team, he's playing defense on that end as well, and he's playing well. And Brisbane's going to be a good team that's going to be hard to beat this year. And I think they have a real good chance of making that 6, making that 4.
Yeah, it's a good shout because you easily forget how good he is and was before that, because I think he had a few nagging injuries last season where we just didn't get to see exactly the right Nathan Sobey, but he was great. We mentioned Clintman, but he just did it again, and people love talking about the young fellas as well, so he did his thing. Another young guy that's good to see, AK Gak, he had a bit of a breakout game I kind of liked. He was with Hawks, I think, last season, didn't get much of a run. 40 over there, they call themselves the... What is it? Something Factory. I don't know. Something Factory where they basically just look after the young fellas. So it's good to see him getting a run. What else from that weekend? That game, I should say.
I think that's all. I mean, Cairns 2-0 for the round plays an important role. And we've got to talk about the one more team that is 2-0 on the weekend. Take us away, Darren, as you talk about you there in person, you watching, you taking photos, Tassie 80, Melbourne 75. What do you think about the game?
I'm calling you guys the hottest team in the league right now, whether you like that title or not. I just think, beat the big dogs, Melbourne, hand them their first loss. But it was cool. It was cool to be in there in person, and it was cool that it was a close game for majority of the way. I think Melbourne had almost a 15-point lead on you guys, but, hand the keys to yourself and Milton Doyle and a few others. And, speaking of Doyle, I think he was... I don't know. He was just so fun to watch. He's just so smooth, especially in person. I was just kind of pointing my camera at him at the end, few shots. I got those last 2 jump shots on video, so I'll post some nice clip footage of that later. But yeah, he's just so smooth, and I think we made some comments to each other where do you rank him in the best in the league, the most clutched in the league, that he has to be in there for all those conversations.
Well, I get to see it daily, and I mean it is unbelievable to watch, and he's someone that he's silent, he's subtle, he's smooth. It doesn't show his killer instinct that he has, and he has it. I mean, he's coming into the league saying, I want to be the best player in the league. This is what he's saying to us. He's coming in every day saying, I want to win a championship. This is what I'm capable of doing. This is what I'm bringing to the team. And he says that in really silent ways in once you get to know him and build that rapport with him. But he's someone that he wants that ball in his hands. And that's something that takes a lot of years, or there's arguments that maybe you just can't even create that in someone. And you can see players throughout the NBL, throughout the NBA that are great basketball players, but when push comes to shove in that last 3 minutes of the game, they don't want that ball in their hands. They don't want to take that shot. They don't want to make that big play. And Milton does. And more often than not, he comes through clutch. And he got us a huge win on the offensive end, and then all the boys pitching down on the defensive end and getting stops. And it was fun to see you there. Your brother was shooting as well. It was overall a sold-out crowd, just an incredible environment for obviously for us, an awesome game, but a fun game overall.
It brings back that whole question of, I think we talked about it last season, but if you'd prefer to get a massive win at home or get a massive win on the road with like a ruckus crowd and everyone cheering against you. But I said to a few people, there is something about being in that arena, because it's always pretty much sold out. It's always a great vibe. There is something about watching a team come there and kind of just be like, we got the win, we can walk away smiling. It's certainly a cool atmosphere regardless of which way it goes. I just want a close game half the time. That's all I asked for, and I got that. But speaking of my brother, did you actually see him as well?
I did see him there walking around taking some photos. The haircut makes it easy to tell the difference, obviously. But I saw him, and then I saw how adorable it was on the socials. You guys taking photos of each other, tagging each other in the photos, and doing what brothers do, which is absolutely awesome. Like, you guys in the same building, doing the same thing, having some fun, and that's what it's all about.
It was cool. It was cool. There was a few staff that were like, "Get a photo on the court after the game," but I'm like, "Nah, that's a bit cheesy." We would have, but just didn't work out. But it was cool because half the people, like I said last week, came up to him and him only, thinking it was me. But this time they could see us in person, and people found it really quite amusing just to chat to both of us, and felt like a bit of a freak show out there, but that's all right. It's cool. I will say it was cool chatting to you after the game, chatting to Farb, chatting to Junior. There was a few of you boys that, it's good just to have those chats post-game.
100%. And I do want to bring something up just to put on the radar for anyone listening is that the toughest start to the season in NBO history? We had Perth at Perth, reigning champs at home, and then Melbourne United at Melbourne. Is the NBL out to get us? We're not sure. We will find out, but we come away 2-1, and that's not a bad place to start with a schedule like that. So now we've got to take care of business at home on Thursday and make sure we really put our stamp on the league and let people know we're the real deal this year and we're here to stay.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it is a fair point. Pretty hard schedule to start with, but you guys don't care, clearly. Last one, Sydney over Adelaide. I didn't get a chance to watch this, but your man, you mentioned him before, Geordie Hunter, came out with 22 points. That was cool to see. I think he's a starter now. Yeah, but anyway, he's one of those starters that sometimes don't get a heap of minutes, but he balled out that one, even though I didn't really see much of it. What else? Oh, I was going to say, Jacob Wiley, great to have him back in the league. Great to see him coming down the lane and screaming after dunking on someone again. That was always great. Getty captured it well with photography as well. So good to have him back in the league and have it's basically a signature moment where he can just scream at anyone who's willing to look at after those plays.
100%. Overall, another great round of basketball. We had some drama. We had some cool dunks. We had some comebacks, and that's all you want from another good round of NBL. Now, for my hype up.
Hype someone up. I just want to hype someone up. Go on a bit of a rant. Anyone that's caught our attention, just give him some love.
Because this one's crazy. And it's going to be hard to really replicate how impressive it was. So we played at Melbourne Sunday, 2:00 game. And so that means we're flying home after the game. So we get a win. And when I tell you this airport was swarmed with Jack Jumper jerseys.
Wow.
Now, I'm telling you, swarmed. We're taking photos. We're hanging out with fans. And then we jump on this plane. And I would, no exaggeration, say 10% of the plane is Jack Jumper jerseys. People that have flown over for the game, flying back with the team afterwards. It was honestly one of the most unbelievable things I've ever been a part of. I mean, we had a players meeting today working out our team values, and what we want to stand for and hold each other accountable on. And it was one of the things that got brought up in a team meeting today, talking about, hey, playing for this state and defending the island and being part of that means so much to the people cheering for us and for us. And it was an experience that we all sat there today on that, like after that plane going, wow, like I have never experienced anything like that. It was absolute chaos, craziness, awesome, just one of those surreal moments. So I'm hyping up the Jackies fans for traveling to Melbourne, being the best, and creating a surreal moment for a lot of the players on the team, because it was wild on this plane.
I love that. And you guys travel. Like, there's a fair few of you that I swear I've almost seen some familiar faces that must travel with you or either live in Melbourne, or you guys have like it must feel cool that you basically building like a family of, supporters, and you're all in that together, and especially if fans actually travel with you. But that's a great insight. I will say a few of your loyal supporters are still like, they're basically almost recognizing me at games now, and even my brother, Channy, shout out if you're listening. You're always listening, I think. She basically came up to my brother and was like, Darren from Shooters Pod, and my brother was just like, no, but nice to meet you. And then it was a nice moment. I enjoyed it. Anyway, my hype up. I've gone with a different direction from on-court as well, because you inspired me last week. We are no longer the only player-led podcast out there, because I don't know if you've seen Alan Williams' podcast pop up there, so I'm giving him some love. I think he's called Getting Saucy. It's like produced by Phoenix and stuff, but I've given it a few listens. I just thought it was cool that another person has stepped into this, this realm that we're doing here. So I'll have to give it a listen. I have to pay attention to him, but yeah, I love that, and he just seems like a great guy as well. He's on NBL Overtime, the Tuesday night show as well, so he's getting his media up, and maybe that's something he wants to do more and more of, and he's good at it, so it definitely suits him.
Well, that's a couple times now that you've brought up Alan Williams. You're a fan of his Twitter. You're a fan of the way he plays. He's got a little podcast now. Could we say you have a little man crush on Alan Williams of the Phoenix? Could he be one of your favourite players in the league?
I guess he'd have to. I think it's more his personality is great. It's probably because we did a shoot with him at Luna Park actually for one of our YouTube channels that we have, and maybe it was just meeting him again and him just playing into that role and being great on camera. So I'm assuming that has something to do with it. But you're right. Now that I think about it, I have brought him up a fair bit, so I better stop that.
No, that's all right. That's what this podcast is all about hyping up people that deserve to be hyped up. But now I have a question for you. I don't know if I want to ask it because I'm a little stressed about the answer, but when you're sitting there on Saturday and you're watching the Jack Jumpers versus Phoenix playing, who are you cheering for? And you got to give me an answer.
Come on, Jack. It's Tassie. Come on.
Oh, man, I was a little nervous about that. I know you're a Phoenix playing hard, but that's what I like to hear. As long as it's a close game and the Jackies win, then you're happy.
I mean, technically, I did come from that part of Melbourne, and I am moving closer to their home stadium and whatever. But no, Jackie's through and through. Even though I should probably play a neutral field here, but I've said Tassie for this round. This round only. Nah, I like you guys. You guys are right.
That's what I like to hear. Well, grateful for.
Wow, this is a negative space. I'm just gonna start chucking up random things I'm grateful for.
This is incredible. This is the best grateful for I've ever heard.
I'm going to start this off because it's simple, nothing too crazy. I'm just really grateful for FaceTime at the moment. So shout out to Beth, long distance heading into the third year, always has its ups and downs of the grind of missing each other. But how cool is it that I can always jump on the phone, FaceTime someone I love, we can jump on this podcast and do it virtually and become friends with someone that lives in a whole different state. So I'm just today grateful for kind of like that video, the internet. Sometimes, technology is bad and it has its negatives. Social media can be a lot, can be tiring, and there is some negative stuff that comes with it, but there's also a lot of positives that come with it. And jumping on the phone, seeing someone's face, having a laugh, I think it's a lot nicer than writing a letter and waiting 7 days for that to arrive. So shout out to the FaceTime. I need to call my mum and dad. It's been a couple of days and I was busy on the weekend. So shout out to them too, because I need to jump. When I jump off this, I'm going to give them a FaceTime and tell them I love them as well.
It's a great call. My brother actually said randomly during the week something very similar along those lines. So you're thinking the same thing, and it's a good point because as good as a phone call is, sometimes I think we're all guilty of when you're on a phone call, you can so easily get distracted with things. Like you're always looking at whatever's in front of you. So, hey, I should go back to FaceTiming my parents because I just go phone call now. But if do FaceTime, you're more engaged and it's just obviously a bit of chat. But my grateful for is also a very simple one. And I laughed when you logged onto Riverside because I'm grateful for Jazz apples. I mean, how good are they? They are. Jack logged on just crunching away, and bit of a joke between us, but they're just 100% crunchy all the time. There you go. There's the apple core. It's a stupid grateful for, but hey, sometimes it's the finer things in life and the simple things that make you happy. And you did put this was actually born during the week when you, the brand you're associated with, you were crunching on some apples and trying to tell the difference between some. And I think Jazz apples were lucky last, and you were like, yep, this is the one. So. Jazz apples. If you haven't switched over to them, I used to be a Granny Smith man, but they're the best.
Wow, give it a go. We got. That was not sponsored as well. This podcast is not yet sponsored. That was just a straight off grateful for, and I got to say, there's nothing better than a good crunchy apple. It's a hard fruit to beat.
It is. Anyway, moving right on. I'm sure people don't want to listen too much about apples, but as I said, you're back in Melbourne this week. I think I'll be down there again, so let's do it all again, hey? Get that win again. I've told you I'm going for you, so don't let me down, basically.
That's what I like. But before we jump out of here, we've got some listener questions real quick we want to touch on. Ben Mitchell shot us a question that I absolutely love. And, these type of questions are my favorite thing to talk about. But he just asked, what's something you had to quit in order to succeed? And Darren, would you like to start us off?
Well, I can't say I thought that question was coming my way. What if I succeeded? No, I'm kidding. I've succeeded in some things. I don't know how to answer that. Maybe you have an answer, and I'll think about... Yeah, you go first, because I'm not really sure what angle I'm taking this one.
I like it. Well, the way you were going to answer was how I was going to start the answer, which is, well, it depends how you define succeed. Is that finding personal happiness? Is it a healthy relationship? Is it winning a certain amount of games as a club, or building a brand as a club that's positive and the community gets behind? Is succeeding only winning a championship, or is it becoming an NBL player? So to answer, I'm going to make my own. In order to succeed, I would say that is to find overall happiness / inner peace while working towards goals, and along that line, succeeding with some of those goals that you're setting. So that's what I'm going to define as the word success. And then I think you asked the most important question, which is, what's something you had to quit in order to succeed? And I think most people look to adding too much. Most of us are causing more self-harm by the things we do than adding a little trick or adding a little routine here or there. Is sometimes the more important thing that you need to do is quit something or stop doing something as much. And so for me, it's a lot of things. I don't eat sugar very much, social media. The biggest thing I probably had to quit was my selfishness. My life evolved around me and me becoming the best basketball player. So for this answer, what's something you had to quit in order to succeed? It was my ego and thinking the world evolved around myself. And that has been the thing that has led me to the most success, is quitting that.
No, well said. I was thinking that that I'm choking. No, I was thinking, like, to answer that question, I'd probably say, and I'm still doing it, like, I'm still struggling with this stuff, but, quitting time wasting. I think in order to succeed in something, however you define that, like you said, I think getting up early for me has, like, made me, I don't know, you can put so much different time in stuff before you clock on for your 9 to 6 or 9 to 5 or whatever you do as your full-time job. But yeah, I'd say time is just such a big factor, and I need to get some time to drink properly because I'm choking still.
Nice. There you go. We got some NBL times NBA games. So Cairns and New Zealand are going to be in the States. Jack is back, that's myself, in Melbourne with Darren this Saturday night against the Phoenix, and we heard it here first. Darren will be cheering me on, and this podcast will be coming out on a Thursday morning, so I'll be preparing right now as you're listening to it to go get a dub against the Illawarra Hawks. Let's go. We appreciate you guys for listening always. Darren, have you got any last words before the people have a lovely day?
I have one last question, and yes, consistently, we're releasing it Thursday again, so that's pretty good. 2 weeks in a row, this podcast. Anyway, my question is, what do you actually think of the NBA games right now, in this very moment?
Oh,
What do you
I
think
am
about
so glad I'm not doing them. You heard it here first. My number one priority is winning an NBL championship. But saying that, doing them in the preseason would be epic, and I am glad I did some. So I've played 2 NBA games, so I can say that I have done the experience, and my perspective's coming from that. But I am very glad I'm not flying to America, and I'm preparing to play Illawarra and Southeast this weekend.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a bit, and I think years ago when we started it, great, like that was, and it still is great, and it still is to get that exposure, to get that competition against these top tier athletes and players. But I almost think we've somehow, like we're almost past it. I almost think we're not better than that now. That's not the right phrase, but I just think the fact that it disrupts your season, it disrupts the regular season, it takes away that big chunk, and it just kind of throws you off after like you're in the mindset of, okay, this is NBL, and then you play a few games, and then you're off for, I think you miss 2 rounds, and then you come back, and it kind of just seems like very weird timing. So, but in saying that, if it was preseason, if it was somehow not during our regular season, fantastic. But it's just an interesting thing, and I just wanted to hear what your side of things.
Yeah, we're on the 100%. We're on the same page. The only way to solve it is bring an NBA team over here.
Yes, perfect. Make it happen. Somewhere.
Make it happen. Well, on that note, let's start a petition, and we'll see you guys at the NBA game in Hobart next year.
Tassie. Let's do it. See you guys.